Hi, good afternoon. I'm Becky Shore with Wildlife Ambassadors, and we are coming to you today with a special program for the Frederick County Public Libraries. This is one of two that we will be presenting for you this summer. So I have four of our awesome ambassadors with me here on our farm. Since we cannot travel out, we're doing our programs right here. We'll be meeting animals that do come from different areas of the world today, as well as two that actually live right in your very own backyard. So we look forward to introducing these guys to you. We're going to start our program in South America. Before I bring them out, I actually forgot to mention our ambassadors that you are going to meet today, as well as in any of our programs, typically come to us in one of three ways. They either come from wildlife centers or wildlife rehabilitators because they have been injured and are non-releasable. Sometimes they come to us because they've been displaced. They've lost their home. Our first one probably has the most interesting story of all of our ambassadors, and I'll share that with you as we get them out. So we're gonna head to South America. Today is definitely a great day for us to pretend we are in South America. It was very hot and humid. This animal is native to tropical rainforest. So he's one of our biggest. He is also one of our animals who's been with us the longest. So this handsome boy is Oliver. Oliver is our green wing macaw. Oliver has been with Wildlife Ambassadors for 24 years. He actually turns 24 just next week. July 1st is his hatch day. We of course call it a hatch day because he's a bird. Oliver has the most interesting story, as I started with, and that is this big handsome fella came to us from a very famous restaurant, the Rainforest Cafe, which sometimes are still found in various areas like down in Florida, but we used to have one out in Tyson's Corner, Virginia, and that's where this fella resided 24 years ago. He is the second largest of all the parrots in the entire world, so it makes him pretty impressive. Now sometimes when folks see Oliver, their guess is that he's a scarlet macaw, which is a great guess, but a scarlet is actually another species of macaw. This guy's bigger. He is red, green, and blue instead of red, yellow, and kind of a cobalt blue as the scarlet is. You'll also notice if you look at Oliver's handsome face, he's got those really cool lines, and we call them facial feathers. So scarlet macaws don't have that. They have a bare face patch here. Interesting fact about those is that scientists in the wild have been able to tell individual green-winged macaws apart by looking at those feathers. They're kind of like your fingerprints. They're all very unique. We're gonna see if we can get Oliver to do a little bit of climbing here today so that you can see how those tools that he has work for him. As a parrot, he has some really amazing tools. He's got a super strong beak, really, really cool feet. So we'll start with those feet. Those feet have 4 toes on them, and we call them zygodactyl. So they're a little bit different than other kinds of bird feet. They allow Oliver to have really good balance here that you can see. They allow him to be a great climber. So he's not just a bird that can fly, he's actually a really good climber as well. They will use their feet also to hold treats in their foot. In the wild, they're big fruit and nut eaters, and so they'll actually use those to be able to, there he goes, hang on to their food while they crack it with their beak. Let's see if we can get them on up here so you can see that climbing in action, because they're pretty impressive. There we go. See that beak and those feet working together. Good. This one? Hello. All right. So parrots like Oliver are very, very long-lived. As I said, he's going to turn 24 in just another week. But a macaw of this size in captivity could live to be 75 years or even 100. So that is pretty impressive. All those beautiful colors on this macaw do help Oliver to blend right in that tropical rainforest. And so he uses those because in a rainforest, he's going to blend in the reds, the greens, the blues, help him blend in with things like fruits. They also help him blend in with things like flowers. So it's a little bit harder for predators to see them. Now you've got a really good look at how that foot is working, and this is why they need it. they're gonna eat whole fruits and whole nuts in the rainforest. So I've obviously broken that banana for him, but in a tropical rainforest, he's going to do that on his own. So he has to be able to anchor it with that foot, balance on the other foot, use the beak, and then also the tongue as tools to get all that yummy fruit out of there. You're probably noticing that tongue, pretty cool. Works like your thumb does, so it's like a scoop, and it gets that fruit right out of there for Mr. Oliver so that he can enjoy every bit of it and not the peel. Just like you and I, he is not going to eat that peel, so he's just going to scoop everything out of there. All right, Oliver, we're gonna let you hang out while we move on to another animal. As I'm starting to get the other animal out, I will just tell you, a species like Oliver is protected in the wild. These guys, like most of our parrots in the wild, are endangered or threatened at the very least, and his species is threatened. We're just gonna scooch some of this out of the way so we have room for our next guy. And there are right now today around 16 macaws, species of macaws in the wild. All right, our next guest is our newest ambassador, and this one is a baby, so she'll probably just hang here with me. This is Pogo, and Pogo actually came to us about 3 weeks ago, and it's amazing how much growing she has already done. She's almost doubled in size from 3 weeks ago. If you have guessed that she is a Virginia possum, you are absolutely correct. This is a possum, but perhaps you've never seen one this small, and so it's really very cool for us to be able to show you a juvenile possum. And I say juvenile because really Pogo's not technically a baby anymore. At the size that you're seeing right now, and you can kind of see compared to my arm, her size here, she would actually in the wild be able to be on her own right now. However, Pogo came to us because unfortunately her family, her entire family other than her, was killed by a dog. Dogs and cats pose a really big problem for wildlife, whether it's birds or these little guys. And so we've had a number of possum come to us over the years who have lost their parent because of a dog, or they've been injured by a dog. So what happened with Pogo is she was rescued, but she was the sole survivor, and because she had a human rescuer and no other possums to be around, she became very imprinted on humans, and so she's super friendly with people, which obviously in order to release them we don't want that to happen. So that's why she was brought to our program. So Pogo now has a really important job as an ambassador. She's our second possum. We actually have a adult possum named June as well. So here's the cool things you need to know about Virginia possum. This little girl is going to get to be the size of a house cat, an adult house cat, by the time she's done growing. So she's going to be growing very, very quickly. You'll definitely be able to follow our Facebook page to watch as she grows. We post a lot of videos of little Pogo here. We actually ran a naming contest, which that was the winning name. We got over 295 name suggestions for this little one. She is a marsupial, and that's one of my favorite things about possum is that she's the only marsupial we have in all of North America. We have no others. We do not have kangaroos. We do not have wallabies. Those guys live really far away, so North America can only boast the possum as a marsupial. So in case you're wondering, and I'm sure a lot of you know what that is, but you might maybe not remember what a marsupial exactly means, it's pretty cool. It's a pouched mammal. And kangaroo and wallaby are really good hints. So you were probably thinking, okay, you know how they carry their babies, and we call their babies joeys. Same with a possum. She's called a little joey. And so when she was born, she would have been the size of a bumblebee. Teeny tiny. So they're super small. And they're immature. They have not fully developed, so they're not going to be like a puppy or a kitten that's just a smaller version of what they will one day be. They still have all their developing to do. Fur needs to grow, their tail needs to grow, they develop the eyes and everything once they're in mom's pouch. So they're going to climb into mom's pouch where they're perfectly protected. Her pouch is a great place for these guys to stay safe as they're growing. Oftentimes when we get baby possums in whose mother has been hit by a car, it's very amazing the babies do survive that even if mom does not. Marsupials are interesting for that reason, that they start out totally immature and then, as I said, you know, start growing in that pouch. At the size that she is, she would have come out of mom's pouch by now and been riding around on mom's back for a little while. And like I said, she's about the size where she could have just dropped off mom's back. But prior to that, they do ride on mama's back. And what they're doing there is they're learning what to eat, how to stay safe. We've got a little, let me see if we've got a little banana we can actually share with Pogo. Sorry. You can see her eating something. She'll probably lick that just like a little ice cream cone. Everybody here likes bananas, that's for sure. So she's going to learn from mom what they can eat, how they can stay safe, and the importance of that is they do definitely have predators in the wild. Not just dogs or cats, they have natural predators such as, let's see if you want to be down here, and that way you can kind of tackle that, such as owls and raccoon and fox. And you see her using that paw. That paw is almost human-like. It almost looks like a hand, so it helps them when they're eating. Helps them to kind of anchor their food. So she's a great backyard neighbor because one of the things she learns from mom that she will eat is not just fruits, not just plants. She's a bug eater, and not just any bug, folks. This is your tick eater. So while she is adorable, she will eat thousands of ticks in her lifetime. She is a very important backyard neighbor to have. Now, if you're watching and you can see those teeth as she's trying to get to that banana, another interesting thing about possum is they have 50 sharp teeth in that mouth. And that is more than any mammal in North America. So that's pretty impressive as well. Let's see if we can look at this little tail here. If you notice, the tail is kind of curved around my hand right now. Their tails are very amazing because they're prehensile. So there's not a lot of fur on the rest of the tail, and that's because they need it to be able to grip. So as a baby, she's got a lot of very strong muscles that allow her to grip onto branches and things. As an adult, she'll use this more in the fall to prepare for winter, and she'll wrap that tail as she's gathering leaves. She'll wrap them up in her tail, bring them back to her den, and make a cozy little spot for wintertime. So the tail is super important. Like all animals that have prehensile tails, it's going to help her when she's climbing too. She can use it as a fifth limb to help her hold on to things. So she's a tick eater. She's the only marsupial. It gets even better than that. This really, really cute little animal will also grow up to be a predator of venomous snakes. In our area, both Virginia and Maryland, folks, that's going to be the copperhead and the timber rattlesnake. Those are our two species of venomous snakes that the possum is able to eat because they're immune. They actually do not get sick from venom, so that makes her kind of like a little mini superhero, which is really pretty cool. One thing that I do share with people is these little guys are not fast, so unfortunately one of the biggest problems for them are cars. So when you're out and about this summer, just keep an eye out. They do come out at nighttime. It is a nocturnal critter. If you see those eyes glowing and you see something starting to cross the road, just give them a few minutes. They're not real fast, and so if you slow down, they can safely get across that road. And we certainly want that so we don't have orphans like Pogo here. Also, just kind of watching your dogs and knowing where they are when you let them out in the evening. That's helpful to wildlife too, because as I said, Pogo's story unfortunately did involve a dog. So that's one way that we can help keep our native wildlife safe. All right, Miss Pogo, we're gonna let her go back in, folks, and we're gonna go ahead and meet a reptile next. So, our next reptile is not going to be native. So as I said, we meet two animals today from far away and two from our very own backyard. So our reptile is from Australia. Also a good day for Australian animals. Very nice and warm out here, which is cool because it means this guy will show us his tongue. The hotter it is, the more active a reptile is, and so we get to see that amazing tongue. You probably just noticed it is beautiful, and it happens to be my favorite color. It's blue. So his full name is a blue-tongue skink. And you can see I'm using two hands to hold him. This is a large species of skink that we do not have here. So he comes from Australia, New Guinea, places like that. We don't have these big guys around here. You're also probably noticing he is shedding. So there's a lot of scales coming off here right now. This is how reptiles grow. So they do shed throughout the year, throughout their entire life. And so with a lizard, he's not going to shed in one nice piece like a snake would. So that's why you kind of see it sloughing off in pieces like this. You can see it around his ears and stuff like that. So it'll take several weeks for all of that to actually come off. This big skink, whose name is Milo, is an impressive guy. In the wild, he will eat eggs, and he can crack those eggs because that jaw is so strong. Matter of fact, if he were to bite me, which he is actually very, very docile, he's a very chill lizard, but if he did bite, the strength that's in his jaw is comparable to having your fingers shut in a car door. So you can imagine that would really, really hurt. Useful though for cracking eggs, grabbing things like mice. He's a rodent eater. We do feed him that here at Wildlife Ambassadors. He's also one that will eat bananas. So yet again, another animal that loves bananas. He's a big lizard though, so he's definitely going to be on the menu for certain animals in Australia. Here's how he's going to keep himself safe. That beautiful blue tongue that you saw sticking out, while we think that's incredible and it's so pretty, a predator sees that and thinks, that's danger, that's a warning. They're gonna wanna leave our guy alone. If he's threatened, he's not going to stick it out just like you're seeing right now. That's just him smelling. If he's actually threatened, he will gape that impressive mouth open. And when he gapes that mouth open, then he's going to stick out that blue tongue. It is like a flag. When he sticks that tongue out, animals see the blue color and worry that our skink is poisonous. He's actually not poisonous, so he's doing one of the coolest things in nature, which is he's mimicking, or I like to say he's bluffing. So both of those things work to help save this guy's life. Animals back off. If they don't, folks, he's also got a pretty long, thick tail, and if an animal came up from behind him, they could certainly grab that tail. It'd be one of the easiest things for them to get a hold of. Thank goodness for our lizard. He has a tail that can detach. Yep, detach. Pretty wild. What happens is all throughout his tail here, he has what we call a fractured plane. That means that there are little places here throughout the tail where there's tiny little breaks. And so when an animal grabs his tail at any point, at the end or up higher, the tail can actually snap off. It's